Hello, wellness students. Welcome to your week 14 instruction. And just a quick reminder for you, if you have not looked closely at the overview page in week 14 instruction, please be sure and do so. There are there's some information on that page about this final 3 weeks of the semester, week 14 this week, week 15 next week, and then week 16, which happens to be finals week. So be sure to read that information on the overview page. In this first video, what I'm doing is just a very quick introduction to this dimension of wellness that sometimes it gets referred to as mental wellness. Sometimes it gets referred to as emotional wellness. And I kind of use the terms interchangeably. So sometimes you might hear me say mental, sometimes emotional, and I just wanted to clear that up right now. Another thing that I want to make sure that you understand, especially before leaving this class, is that, in this class, I started you out with an introduction to the 8 dimensions of wellness. And depending on what source you go to, and it could be a textbook, an agency, um, you know, you could look at those resources, and some will tell you there are 6 dimensions of wellness. Some will identify 8. Some even identify 9 now. So, really what's trying to be captured through this concept of wellness is that there are a variety of dimensions or aspects of life that contribute to our overall well-being. And, just different sources identify different numbers, but the basic point is the same. And and remember a couple of the basic principles with these dimensions of wellness are that they are interrelated. How you're doing in one dimension will definitely have an impact on how you're doing in the others. They feed off of each other. So, and then the other kind of key principle with wellness is that each dimension is considered to be dynamic. Um, it's something that how well you're doing in one dimension can change from one period of your life to the other. So that key element where it talks about the importance of paying attention to or developing awareness in each of the dimensions of wellness is so important because this is a lifelong journey. It's a lifelong process. The degree to which we stay well and flourish in life is largely dependent on us checking in with each of these aspects of who we are, or each of these dimensions of our well being. So, with this particular dimension of wellness, mental and emotional wellness, I do remember when we were face to face, asking you guys, well, which dimension of wellness do you think could be most important or more important, even though the wellness concept, the wellness philosophy says each of them have equal importance in how we're doing overall. But in both of my wellness classes, I had students that said that they felt like this mental or emotional dimension of wellness might be either the most important or one of the two most important. So, just to get us going, I like to start with this quote. It's credited to Abraham Maslow. Abraham Maslow Some of you may be familiar with that name. It's if you've heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You may have talked about that in a psychology class. This is the same Abraham Maslow. And he says the ability to be in the present moment is a major component of mental wellness. And I couldn't agree more with this quote. That's probably why I have it in your PowerPoint presentation. Um, I know that the more I can redirect my attention back to what's actually happening now in this moment, the better able I am to support myself mentally and emotionally and stay away from all that mental activity that sometimes takes me to places of worry, um, of imagining scary stories. So, this is a real art, this ability to be in the present moment and think of it as a skill. The degree to which you can actually pull this off is going to have a huge impact on your mental wellness. Okay, so a couple of definitions or ideas about how you could define this dimension. This first one, I'll just read it to you. It says, mental or emotional wellness, it's defined as the successful performance of mental function. And if you're doing that, the result is that you're able to be productive. You're able to participate in fulfilling relationships with other people. And then this last is the ability to adapt to change and to cope with adversity. Um, in this class, we've talked a lot about really the relationship aspect of wellness in that social wellness section. Um, I don't know if any of you will remember, but one comment that I made is I feel like the social dimension of wellness has to do with our ability to have relationships with others. But this emotional or mental dimension, to me, it's very, very related to the relationship that we have with ourselves. And so, when change comes my way or when an adversity comes my way, how do I help myself move through it? How do I help myself cope with it? You could think of both change and adversity as stressors. And then also, I love that the second part is here. Mental and emotional wellness includes the degree to which you feel positive and enthusiastic about both yourself and life. So here are just a couple of ideas. You could also think about them as definitions or descriptions of emotional wellness. And with regard to emotional wellness, I always like looking at these. You could think of these as characteristics or abilities. People with optimal emotional wellness are said to have these abilities. And, first of all, to take responsibility for their own behavior. Okay. And that would be, acknowledging also that other people can't make you feel a particular way. Okay. Events happen and we end up experiencing a variety of feelings, but those feelings are at the core mostly about us. So taking responsibility for our feelings and then also, how we end up behaving. Um, Optimal emotional wellness includes the ability to maintain a sense of humor. These next two kind of flow together, the ability to recognize our feelings and the ability to appropriately express them. And I know with this area, recognition and appropriate expression, this is sometimes a more challenging area. We've talked about this to some degree in social wellness, this idea of being able to meet emotional needs and to express emotional needs. That was tackled a bit with the understanding of boundaries and with developing a more assertive style of communication to express those needs. A person with optimal emotional wellness can form interdependent relationships. We talked about this within the context of social wellness. And then this last one, a person with the optimal emotional wellness is able to take on challenges, take risks, and recognize conflict as being something that could potentially be healthy. So, here, just in a nutshell, individuals with optimal emotional wellness tend to have. Here are three great kind of descriptions that I think kind of really capture the essence of emotional wellness. Individuals with optimal emotional wellness tend to have positive self image, positive self esteem, and positive self worth. So, self image, I view myself in a positive light. Self esteem, I feel good about myself. Self worth is I feel as if I have value. Okay. Individuals with optimal emotional wellness also tend to have positive feelings about others. So, I know with me, I generally know that I'm out of whack, that I'm not doing well on a personal basis. Um, if if I am beginning to lean towards having more negative feelings about others, if I'm feeling negative about a lot of other people, that's usually because something's going on inside of me. So having positive feelings about others is a sign of how you're doing in this particular dimension of wellness. And then also individuals with optimal emotional wellness tend to have capability in meeting life's demands. So when those changes, when those stressors, those adversities come our way, we can rise up and meet those, do a good job of taking care of ourselves, and implement strategies to help us move through the situation, much more effectively. Okay, so now there are two tenets or two statements about this particular dimension of wellness, and these two once again come from the National Wellness Institute. And the two tenets go this way. It is better to be aware of and to accept our feelings than to deny them. Okay, and then the second is it is better to be optimistic in our approach to life than pessimistic. So, in the next lecture video, we're actually going to look at these two tenets. And so that's it for this introduction. Be sure to move along when your schedule permits to the second lecture video. So I will talk with you again soon.